Welcome to another episode of OG55. I got Mr. Tutu with me, theme park conductor. Today we are, on this episode of This Week on Disney YouTube, we are going to break down two fantastic videos. One from Dave of Fresh Baked, Mr. Disneyland himself, and Jack from DSNY. Two great content creators, friends of the channel. We're going to talk about these clips. We're going to react to them. We're going to break them down. Up next here on OG55. Conductor in the house. Let's go. Welcome aboard, everybody, to this episode of OG55 This Week on Disney YouTube, a weekly show we do here on the channel. My good friend Conductor is with me today. We're reacting to two amazing content creators talking about Coco, the construction, and also predictions for the Disney parks via DSNY. Conductor, welcome back, brother. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing well. Always great to be on an episode of Disney News every single week with the one and only Orange Grove 55 with that wild, wicked patent hair that I love so very much. I just spent time with OG at Universal, and what a blast it was to hang out with him and other friends getting wild and crazy at Grinchmas Takeover event. It was absolutely insane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the lesson of the annual pass event, I think the big takeaway from that is that VillainCon is a superior attraction over everything.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Yeah, shout out to Theme Park Wizard. He's fantastic. We love Wizard. He's family here. He's family. We love him. And he was talking about VillainCon, and we were all of us were like debating the quality of that attraction. It was pretty fun. So,
oh my gosh.
But Mr. Conductor, where can everybody find you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can also find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1. And you can find me every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we talk everything from Universal to Disney news to speculation to rumors. And we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Grove 55 with that wild, wicked hair, and so many other great guests as we break down news coming from the parks, what to expect. And we talk about rumors a lot, actually. And it's a lot of fun because the chat interacts with us and we interact with them. So it's just a great time. And Orange Grove 55 is always on those live streams, and it's always a great time having them on.
Yeah, no, these are great shows, everybody at home. If you are not subscribed to Theme Park Conductor, do yourself a favor, subscribe to his YouTube channel, check him out on Instagram. Like he said, I'm always on there. The OG55 team, we got Tommy going on there all the time. A lot of great content creators. We got a lot of great stuff planned over there for Conductor Sundays or Thursdays, whenever they occur. but it's a really awesome, fun conversation. So make sure you subscribe to Theme Park Conductor and smash that notification bell. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll, Conductor. We got the one and only Mr. Disneyland himself, Mr. Fresh Baked, Dave. From the channel, but this is from a few days ago. Things have begun for the future Coco boat ride, Disneyland Construction 2025. This is from November 28th. So just a few days ago. But Conductor, before we dive into this is pretty exciting stuff, man. We're getting a Coco boat ride. What's going on, man?
I don't know, man. I'm super excited. And one of the things that is getting me even more excited is they're already starting. This is only the beginning. They as we play this video, it's going to show it. They have some of the trees off in the distance. They're already tagged for different things that they're going to do for that area to prepare to build the Coco Dark Ride based off the Shanghai Pirates. So I'm super excited to get into this and dive in.
Yeah, this would be fantastic. I'm super excited. I I am really shocked, conductor. Before we dive into the video, I am super shocked that it's taken this long to get a Latin inspired attraction in a park about California. You know, you and I are both California guys, right? You know, we've been we've lived in California a long, long time. Latin culture, Mexican culture. I mean, it's very much ingrained in California, you know. So it's about freaking time that we get this. So I'm really excited for it. We're gonna let Dave take it away. Conductor, you know the drill, man. If you want me to pause it along the way, let me know and we'll stop and talk shop. Here we go.
The new Coco attraction has begun right here, right now. First signs of the initial demo that will be underway soon, plus new developments on Harbor Boulevard and new paint for the Eastern Gateway. It all begins today in this week's construction update. And what brought us to this discovery was taking a walk up Catella Avenue. There's some paint, actually. There's some paint right here on the concrete. This is new. We have not seen this before. That is fresh paint, but this is not. This is just a precursor, but that is not Coco related paint. Actually, we're quite far from that site as we fade right, or that's actually Radiator Springs Racers. But as we keep walking down this path, we'll start making discoveries and observations that are going to really blow our minds, at least mine anyway, about what's to come here at this corner. The beginning of the Coco attraction doesn't start technically behind Incredicoaster. It starts out here. There it is. There's the Incredicoaster right there. So we're actually behind it now. We're in that space. On the other side of those trees are going to be that backstage area, those portables that are going to be removed, and where they're going to start building, or at least some of them anyway, start building the Coco attraction. But it doesn't start there. It starts out here on Catella and Disneyland Drive, because they need to make room to.
So here we go. Big God bless Dave. This is actually a really cool find. So there's both of these trees. These two trees in particular have been flagged. Now, I'm not a construction guy. Anyone that happens to watch this video that is in construction and knows what a green tag on a tree means, please let us know. But my guess, right, being that there's only two of these trees, and obviously they're going to need more room than just what those two trees occupy. Obviously, it's going to be more space than just those two trees. So I am guessing these two trees are something like, these two trees are trees they want to keep and maybe move to another area. I'm assuming everything else is primed to get bulldozed, plowed, and trashed. But maybe they want to keep these two trees to replant them somewhere else. That's just my guess. I think if it was for removal, I think you would see a lot more flagged. The fact that we're only seeing two of them with these two green things, they probably want to keep these trees. That's just my guess, but what say you, conductor?
So you're absolutely right. If they want to remove trees, more than likely, and again, I'm not a construction expert at all either, but you know, as far as I know, I think like the color red or maybe the color white would indicate that these trees are getting removed. So green could, like you said, green could be a relocation, or it could be that they're under review. And what under review means is the how they're gonna, you know, demo the area and clear enough space for the show building for this Coco Dark Ride. You know, they do this a lot. They have multiple colors for an area that they want to clear out. Some of them are the same color, some of them are different colors. That's why I'm kind of curious what these green tags mean.
Yeah.
And again, I'm no expert, but it could be that they're for review and not necessarily for removal, or they could be for removal. Who knows?
Yeah, no, it's fascinating, and I'm actually very interested in this because it seems like they are going to encroach further into this little grassy area to some degree. We don't know how far in or whatever, but it does seem like they do want to utilize some of this space for this Coco boat ride, which is interesting, you know. So this is going to be a pretty sizable attraction, and you know, you and I, conductor, we've done a lot of shows. And along with the whole OG55 family, we've done a lot of shows on this Coco boat ride. How are they going to squeeze this thing in? It looks like they're trying to make all available space, you know, available, you know, and this little area right here is part of that. So it's interesting.
build that attraction by clearing some of the space. And we got our first sign right there. Oh my God, we got it. Okay. Those are flagged trees, 2 trees back there. For whatever reason, those 2 specifically have been flagged with those green ribbons.
Now that's just a couple of trees though, and that's certainly not anything to get too worked up about. Let's keep going around the corner.
Hey, you know what?
Right.
Hey, as Disney nerds, we'll get worked up over anything, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, I mean that's what we do, right, dude? That's what we freaking do.
Hey,
we love getting worked up.
Hey, we live for this.
Yeah, man.
When we see stuff like this, we get excited. No matter how small it is, something small can lead into something massive. So you never know.
You never know. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Rounding that corner at Disneyland Drive in Catella, we're going to start looking for more of those trees. I'm curious. Well, we'll see. But I have an observation about this as we make our way down Disneyland Drive. And there we go. There's those trees way back there in the back. None of these trees here are marked, but there they are again. Those are the 2 green trees back there, or the green ribbon trees. More green, 2 more green there. Okay, so it's starting to pick up. We're seeing more trees marked green. Now, typically it is the green ribbons that suggest that they're going to keep those trees. These trees are supposed to be kept. We're looking for a red tree. There we go. We got one that's got a red ribbon on it. That tree is going to go. Interesting which ones they're choosing to keep and which ones are going.
And that.
Yeah, and keeping doesn't necessarily mean they're going to keep them in that spot either.
Yes.
Keeping them just means they're gonna keep them, and they will likely put them somewhere else. Yeah, you know, I know for Cars Land, they moved a lot of trees around too. Go ahead, conductor. I apologize, brother.
Oh, no, absolutely no. And always keep in mind, just because they flag these trees early on before any type of construction starts, does not mean that they can't go back to that area and flag it with a different color. Because maybe what they thought was, finalized was not actually finalized, because things change on a dime.
100%. That's a great point.
Is not all. There's lots more. Check this out.
We got markings on the ground, paint on the ground. These are orange. Orange is suggestive of telecommunications. Looks like they're flagging like where things might be, handholds perhaps. Or some of the, if they have the, buried underneath that concrete are communication lines. And as we keep walking down the way, we see more green, which means these trees are staying, which is actually kind of confusing to me considering what the goal is of this project. And it's the ones deeper in the back that are going to be the red flagged ones. Now, one thing I'm noticing though, is that most of the trees are not flagged. So if it's not flagged, I don't know what that means. So you're going to keep the green ones and you're going to demo the red ones. What are you doing with the ones that aren't flagged at all? There's a lot of trees back there.
So where we're looking at now is the backstage areas behind Incredicoaster, that corner. We're not far from the corner that is, in that direction over there. So you're looking at the 3 portables are about here. And then you can kind of see, if we find a gap through these leaves, the Pixar pal around is right in that direction there. So that puts, there's an Incredicoaster right there. So that puts in Emotional Whirlwind right about there. So this is all connected. This will connect with that space back there. It's happening.
Now here's some more markings on the ground. Red, orange, and yellow. Yellow is gas, orange is telecommunications. Red, well, that's not the right kind of red. That's a dark red. That dark red is just a note, I believe, by whomever was out there doing the evaluation of this. Now, if we keep going, you've got that circular path. This is just before you reach the intersection where the Simba lot meets the gate to DC. This is where cast members park. They cross the street and go backstage. Lots and lots of red markings here, lots and lots of trees, etc., that are being flagged red. So it is my expectation that this section here is not going to survive at all. Even though we don't see any flags here, there's enough to suggest that without that tree was flagged, those stakes are not good. There's a red flag tree right there, that palm tree. All of this, I believe, is subject to removal. As a matter of fact, let's make some observations.
So let's make some assumptions, and this is all this is.
Now, real quick, before Dave dives into his assumptions and his speculation, I'm pretty much of the mindset, and conductor, I'm curious your thoughts on this. I'm pretty much of the mindset that really anything other than a green tag, that it's probably going to get ripped out, bulldozed, chopped up, whatever. Like, I think that the red flags are not a good sign. I mean, if I was a tree, I wouldn't want the red flag. You know, I'm not a tree, but if I was a tree, I wouldn't want a red flag on me. You know, so I think anything outside those green flags, I think it spells trouble. I think most of this area is probably on the chopping block. You know, probably gonna hit the wood chipper. What do you say?
No, absolutely. And then I just want to clarify with you on the road he is on, just so memory serves me correct. This is Disneyland Drive, correct? That they are.
That is correct.
Okay, so they are going to be closing off this area because they got approval from the city during the negotiations and the city council meetings to annex that road, correct? If I'm not mistaken, or was it the other one?
It was it was Magic Way that they got. Magic Way. Disneyland Drive is still going to be there. That's where downtown Disney, that sky bridge goes over. It goes over Disneyland Drive. So no, Disney technically can't touch Disneyland Drive. They did get authorization though. You're right, for Magic Way.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh no. So the reason why I bring this up is probably right where David is standing, and shout out to David, dude. This guy him and Bricky are rebels when it comes to this stuff. I absolutely enjoy it by far.
I love these two guys. Bricky and Dave are amazing content creators. We love our West Coasters, right? We love them.
Oh, absolutely. So right where he's standing, I could see the building, or backstage, whatever they're going to build, right where he's standing, literally go across, diagonally go across, and then they're going to have to rebuild the sidewalk. So, sidewalk so people can go up and down the street. And then I want to ask you some, because Disney also filed a permit, and this is from Theme Park IQ, that they're going to, where that Pixar Pier gate is next to, oh my gosh. The
Boardwalk Pizza, that gate.
Yes, the gate. So my question is, when they're building Coco and whatnot, and building into the backstage to build that attraction, is it smart that they start building the bridge to go across Disneyland Drive? Or do you think they wait?
Honestly, if it was up to me, and it's not, I mean, despite all the rumors of my special access, right? Despite all the special access I get from Bob Iger, I definitely think that it would be a great idea to start at least laying the groundwork, the foundation for that sky bridge. Yes, I think it would be a good decision. Absolutely. Will they do that? I don't really know. I mean, but you're right, conductor. That's a great point that you bring up. Like, they should definitely at least set up the area for that eventuality. So you would think, and I hope they do. I'm thinking they will, just because, I mean, if you're in there, why spend money twice? Might as well get in there and sort of like handle it when you're in there anyway. It would make the most sense, right? So yeah, from your lips to God's ears, man. Hopefully.
Just basic guessing, but I'm going to say that all of this obviously is going to get taken out, and they're going to bring where they have a fence now. Today, creating a
now. I believe this little area, this little circular path.
Yeah.
When you look at that from like Google Maps, right, from the aerial view, it makes a Mickey face.
It does.
Yes. So this is very much a vanity project. Look, I get it. I know the Disney adults are going to get really mad at me for saying this, because I mean, but look, it is. It's a vanity thing. It doesn't really serve much purpose other than making an aerial shot of Mickey. So I don't think Disney cares about that right now. No. They're looking to maximize space. So this is all going to get cut into a more traditional sidewalk. So yeah, 100%, dude.
Division, the separation between backstage and, well, not on stage, but public access. They're going to bring that fence probably out here all the way to Disneyland Drive, and then the service road, which is necessary, will be installed here. It'll just push it out to, I don't know, maybe like to this point here where these trees are, right? So maybe that's your new backstage service road from here to there. And then I'm thinking all of this becomes improvable space, improvable land for theme park construction, Coco or what have you. And what's even more interesting is our relationship here. So Coco, we'll find the gate here in a minute, but this is about where they would build the Coco path to the attraction that's behind Incredicoaster. We are right next to the entrance to downtown Disney, the entrance to the Simba parking lot. This is the access hereabouts. I'm guessing that guests are going to go for Disneyland Forward, that when they leave DCA, this is the way into Disneyland Forward, into the Simba lot. Before we continue, let me remind everybody of our preferred travel affiliate, Getaway Today. If you're looking to plan a visit to Disneyland or Disney World or a cruise or whatever, you want to plan a trip and you need some expert guidance.
Now we are using Dave's video, so I'm gonna go ahead and play his promotional for Getaway Today.
Some friendly, helpful people to help you with that decision-making process. Contact Getaway Today. There's a link in the description. We love them. They are awesome. They take good care of us. They plan all of our trips, and they can help you with yours. Use the link in the description. Let them know we sent you, and have a great trip. Actually, I want to correct myself there, because at first I was imagining that everything being pushed out all the way to the street, but clearly that's not Disney's intention in retrospect, because they've got those trees back at the beginning of our little survey through this area that are marked green. So those are staying. So if those trees are staying, then you can't be putting a road there, right? So I don't believe that this is going to be a 100% degrading of this zone, from the current backstage fence.
I have to respectfully disagree with Dave on that. I don't think the green, and I could be wrong. Anyone watching that knows construction can definitely chime in the comments. Would love to hear the facts on this, but I don't think green necessarily means it's going to stay exactly where it is. I think, especially when you look at the placement of some of those green trees, they're like in the way. You know what I'm saying? Well, yeah, I think green just means, hey, this is a good tree. It's a healthy tree. We're gonna uplift this tree and put it somewhere else. I don't think it necessarily means like, oh, you know what? This tree is gonna stay right there, and we're going to build everything around that tree. I don't think that necessarily means that. And I could be wrong, but yeah, that's kind of where my mind is at with that.
Definitely.
To Disneyland Drive, just a chunk of it will be this back chunk here, perhaps. But on the other end, I don't think they're going to be bringing it all the way. I don't think they're going to bring that service road all the way out to the edge of Disneyland Drive, simply because those trees are being flagged to be kept. If you're keeping those trees, then you're not going to be putting any surface down there, any street. Let's get out to where the gate is. This is where there's some more markings on the ground there. Interesting. Oh, look at that. There we go. This is at the actual intersection where you turn left into downtown Disney parking. That's not text. That's a symbol of some kind, a box and a bunch of dots. My understanding is that is a literal what do they call that? Handhole that's been buried down there for communication. So they're marking it. So my guess is whenever they begin.
I mean, it's crazy to me that Disney even red flagged these little bushes. How petty is that, conductor? That's petty, bro.
It is.
What do these bushes do to you, Disney? Right? What do they do to you, man?
Work here. They're going to cut that area up and get into there to the communications that are buried underneath that surface.
So
and it looks like we've got some red markings also leading into.
So this is a perfect area right here. So this is backstage. This is where I'm thinking they're going to build the sky bridge across Disneyland Drive. And like I said, and like we talked about, it would be smart of Disney to do this. Will they do it? Probably not. And what I've seen before is something where they built the brand new area, and then when they want to update something, they had all the opportunity in the world to do so, because they had the area, fenced off and whatnot, they go back and fence off part of it again, and it kind of destroys what they just spent all the money building. So you would honestly think they would start, building the Coco attraction and then start building the Sky Bridge to go over Disneyland Drive. Why they refuse to do that, I don't know. We've talked about this, so many times that, Disney likes to sprawl out projects throughout the financial quarters, and in my point of view, it irritates the hell out of me because maybe I'm just so used to Comcast is saying, you know what, the hell with money, we're just going to build it and ask questions later. But it's just a mere fact, and I'm always going to stick Disney with this. Is if I'm going to pay almost $2,000 for an Inspire key, I want to see results a little bit faster than what they're providing.
No, I agree, man. I agree. And I make no bones about it. I'm a vibes guy. I go to the parks, and yeah, I don't go on a lot of rides. I'm the first to admit it. I'll be the first to admit I like to eat, drink, and walk around. I'm not hiding it. I make no bones about it, But I would be more of a rides guy if Disney actually built rides.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, dang, dude. Like if we actually got new rides, you might actually see OG on a ride, but we haven't gotten any new rides, bro. Like, where are the rides, dude? Right? It's all the old stuff. And I was born and raised in California. I didn't come here recently. I've been here my whole life. So for me, Pirates, I've been on that a million times. I don't need to ride that. Haunted. These are attractions I've been on over and over and over again. So it's like, okay, whatever. Now look, in 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, when Avatar's open and the Coco ride's open and the Avengers stuff is open, then I'm more of a rides guy. I'm like, okay, cool. I want to check out the new stuff. But Disney hasn't given us anything, conductor.
I know. And it hurts. It definitely hurts. The prices go up, nothing's available, so it definitely hurts. But I do have to give them, a round of applause, because in Walt Disney World, especially with Animal Kingdom and what they're doing out there, it seems like they're moving turbocharge. They just put up their first steel beam the other day, so
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Florida is moving a little faster than out here in California.
To that gate. So this is okay. This is where things get interesting in terms of what's Coco and what's Disneyland Forward. They got some red markings there, some paint on the ground. It looks like it was for electrical. Into that, that's the service road that goes behind Inside Out, Emotional Whirlwind, and Incredicoaster and all that. That's the road we've been watching from the Pixar Pal around. That's across the street. Now we're on this side. That's the downtown Disney parking lot, but the future side of Disneyland Forward. Notice no markings here. Notice no trees are flagged, nothing on the concrete, nothing, indicating that any kind of survey work has been done, because this will be untouched for quite a while. This is not going to be included in the Coco, or, they're not working on Disneyland Forward yet, at least in this space. No markings here at all. Everything that we're seeing is on the other side of the street where we just were.
Yeah.
And then one last thing I want to note here before,
and that's cool. I'm fine with that. But like to your point, conductor, and you make a great point. At least prep the foundation work. Set it up on the other side of the street for that eventual sky bridge.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying? At least set it up where it's like when you're ready to build that bridge, you can hit the ground going. I just feel like they need to set it up. I get it, like on the other side, you don't want to prep anything quite yet.
Sure.
I get that. But on the other side by Coco, you need to prep the foundations and all that stuff for that bridge. So then when that time does come, which is going to be pretty, I mean, not like too long from now, you want to have at least the groundwork set. You don't want to have to do it all over again and rip everything up again, right? Go ahead.
No, 100%. And, one of the things, that would satisfy me in a way where I would feel like, I could see what Disney's actually up to is, you have so many vacant areas between DCA and Disneyland. Why can we not have a blue sky cellar, place to walk in and see what Disneyland Forward projects are going to look like. I'm not talking about stuff that hasn't been announced. I'm talking about stuff that has been announced. So, the 2 Avengers attractions, we got Avatar, we got, the Coco Dark ride. We can see what the sky bridges are going to look like on either side of the resort. At least give us that, build the models, put it into a vacant area in the resort where guests can walk in, see what's going on. That way we can kind of feel like, okay, this is what they're up to. And again,
Yes.
even little miniatures of what they build is not exactly the final design, but at least gives us a glimpse on, okay, this is what they're up to, instead of, again, these minute updates. And I'm not trying to Disney or us content creators for covering it when it happens. It seems like it's going at a slow pace, and it drives me nuts, because it's like you said, I'm to the point now, being an Inspire key holder and paying all that money. I do go on rides, but not as many as I used to, because I just go to the park. I film my content for my YouTube channel and for my community. And then, I meet guests along the way that have seen my channel. I run into friends like yourself and others in the park, and I just hang out. I'm a vibes guy, because it's like, okay, after the millionth time of riding Indiana Jones or Pirates of the Caribbean or Thunder Mountain, what does it have to offer me that I haven't experienced the other 900 and 900? It's just
Right.
repetitive, and there's nothing new. So it's like, don't get me wrong, there is something new. We could see the 2 Avengers attractions, over a construction wall. But one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts, and probably there's a reason behind it, why is it, like, for example, why is it taking so long for these so-called bathrooms between Avengers Campus and Cars Land to be finished? You're talking about one bathroom facility, and you can't even finish that. Why couldn't you finish that? Open the walls up and have construction walls on either side. Maybe, like I said, maybe they have a reason for that because of the 2 Avengers attractions and them trying to run conduit and stuff. Fine, I
Right.
understand that, but explain that to all of us. Tell us that you're doing that, because
Right.
we all think Disney's nuts when it takes all this time to build a freaking restroom facility. It's like, my God, I can almost build that in my sleep playing Minecraft, for God's sakes. Come on, man.
No, I mean, so what you're saying is, bro, is that $2,000 for the Magic Key is totally worth it, right?
Sure,
So-
waiting for a restroom facility that's taken 2 years to build. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Exactly. It's wild.
Before we get into the park, some folks have been asking about whether or not they could put stuff backstage. This is what we're looking at, is Backstage Paradise or Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. That's Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. You see that little peak right there behind those trees. That's Boardwalk. I don't know if you could tell through the lens, but I can tell you, not a lot of space back there. Very little space for them to do anything other than keep stuff, store stuff. I don't even think you could keep parade floats back there. I don't even think there's enough room for that. They've already got to keep other stuff that's there. They can't just get rid of everything that's back there, if you follow. So I don't think this is any kind of future for any kind of thing. Let's get to the Pixar Pal Around and reverse our view. So that's the future site of Coco, right? We've been watching them, waiting for them to start, clearing that space. And again, this week nothing's happened. Matter of fact, that one crate is still there, still wrapped. Those trees back there, the green and the orange trees, that's where we just were. Many of those trees are going to be demoed, taken down. That's where they're going to be pushing out the boundary a little bit, not a lot. And then as we pan right, that larger section of trees there, that's where that area where the big chunk is going to be, because you can see where that intersection is, where the vehicles turn left into the downtown Disney parking lot, Simba. Those trees right there is where that section of the big chunk of trees, where I feel like they're going to be removing a lot of that. So that's crucial in terms of its relationship, where guests are going to be entering from that gate. This is Google Earth. That's the gate right there. That's the gate, the Pixar Pals gate, or the Pixar Ball gate. That's where guests are going to be entering that space behind the Incredicoaster and behind Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. Change our heading. Let's go back around. Okay. Right there in the center of your screen, that's the gate again. right here. There's the gate. There's this service road that we've been watching, that one there. That's where we just were standing not long ago, right here at the gate, looking at the paint. All of this, well, most of it anyway, I expect to be removed. Let's see if we can pan out. I can't tell what they're going to do here. These trees right here are the ones that were flagged green, and we saw a few actually in that space as well. The red ones were back here. So they're probably, I don't know what the goal is in terms of maybe pushing this road, straightening it out a little bit and running it around here and giving you this width right there is.
You know, it's interesting the way Dave is presenting this. I didn't even really consider like a lot of this space as even potential for Coco. And I'm sitting here going, wow, man, like there's not a whole lot of room back there, you know, when you factor everything in, but there really kind of is when you really take into account all of this other stuff that could potentially get removed, you know? So
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think, conductor? Before we let Dave continue, what do you think? You think parades are safe at Disney at DCA, or do you think that we're gonna get, or do you think this marks the end of it for parades?
Well, I think for temporary, it's going to mark the end unless they have a solution on what other area they could put them in, which it's not much at all.
Yeah.
You know, so I think temporarily parades are going to be slim to none, at least in DCA. You know, I could see them coming back though, but
Okay.
I I don't know, because if they put right where your mouse is and they go literally all the way down diagonally to the corner right here and put the service road straight and narrow and no curves, just straight and narrow, and then they get rid of these three massive buildings back here, it's more impossible to put a dark Coco attraction even with the show building and maintenance bay and all that. It's just again, I'm not a construction worker, so I don't know what these colors of the flags mean. But personally, for me, I don't think there's going to be too many trees in this area that are going to be saved.
I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I think even the green ones are
Yeah.
going to be moved. They're going to be moved. They're not going to stay there. There's no way.
No.
They can't. They literally can't stay there. Some of those green trees butt up right against this stuff.
Oh yeah.
They got to go. I mean, but they'll be moved. They'll probably put them somewhere else at DCA or maybe even Disneyland, but they're not going to stay where they're at. You know?
The space that they're trying to create, the goal of which I would assume is to reposition these two, perhaps move these back, keep them, but move them back a little bit so you can create more space here. So the gate guests are going to come in through here, and this is going to be this is where I imagine the Marigold Bridge would be, if there is such a thing. I believe there will be. I believe that's the transition from this space into the Coco land is a Marigold Bridge, and I think that's where they're going to be building this, and then the attraction is here. It's going to be a dead end, so when you're done here, you're going to have to go back over the Marigold Bridge and go back out. The reason why I was curious about the relationship is because at the same time that they're doing that, we saw markings down here. This is that gate that we saw on the street at Disneyland Drive. There was markings down here as well. They might at the same time maybe start doing some infrastructure work to prepare for building another bridge to connect this space with this space. This is going to be, zoom out, this is Disneyland Forward right here. Get those guests from here to there.
Yeah,
I hope so.
And again, these are all just speculation, guessing, just trying to see if I can't read any tea leaves. I don't know.
And that's what we love about Dave, and that's what we love about Bricky, is that we're all nerds here and we're all speculating and we're all basically guessing, educated guesses, absolutely.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, we are all guessing. But that's fun though, right? It's fine to guess and be wrong or guess and be right. That's the fun, that's the magic of it, sort of, right? But before we move on to our next content creator, Dave, want to give Dave Fresh Baked a big shout out. Dave is a mainstay, a absolute, California legend,
Yes.
Mr. Disneyland himself. So he does a lot of great work. I will be linking his channel down below. But any final thoughts before we move on to Jack from DSNY, conductor?
No. Well, actually, it's interesting. He said that last part about the bridge. And again, we talked about it. I really, really, really hope that Disney does take that angle and does decide to start building the infrastructure work for that. And like I said earlier, I really honestly hope that in the meanwhile, for us, because Disney knows, they have to know that their own media department that watches all of our content, they have to know us Disney nerds and theme park nerds want to see more progress as time goes on. And like I said, the best way Disney can handle this right now, if they want to, kind of keep steady with construction but not go as fast as they should, is again take one of these vacant buildings they have, which there's plenty on property between the two parks, and build us another Blue Sky Cellar and give us actual concept art, actual 3D models of what they're building
Yep.
that has already been announced, so we could see it for ourselves. I think that would be the best short-term goal they could do right now to satisfy so many people that are worried about paying the prices they are for either Magic Keys, a day ticket, Park Harper, or the food prices or merch prices. If people can go into this space and see what Disney is actually up to, instead of not just only relying on us content creators and them once in a while kind of spewing out something on their social media platform, if guests that go to the park can actually see this in person, it would kind of ease the tension between, the guests of Disneyland, us content creators, and the company. I think it would be a total win.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely. If Josh D'Amaro's team is ever comes across this video, that would go a long way with fans. Build us a Blue Sky Cellar or some kind of equivalent of that. I think a lot of us diehard fans are really curious how Avatar is going to work into that DCA dynamic, right? Like it would be perfect to have maybe a model of Hollywoodland and how Pandora is going to fit in there, right?
Yes.
I think that and I get it. I get from Josh D'Amaro's standpoint as he's running experiences, and the main bulk are the normies, as we call them, right? Conductor, the soccer moms, right?
Yep.
The soccer moms. We love dearly. We love our soccer moms, but but I think that it would go a long way to have some of the nerds involved in this, right? Where we can have a model of, hey, how is this thing going to fit in this area, right? I mean, they did it years ago with DCA 2.0 in the Blue Sky Cellar. We got a great model of everything. They broke everything down on the walls with artwork, and it was really, really cool to kind of have that. I think it built up a lot of excitement for DCA 2.0. Let's bring that energy back, Disney. I mean, whether you put it in the same spot or somewhere else, we all know there's plenty of vacant areas at DCA and even Disneyland. Like
They
you were
could do
saying,
it.
they could do it 100%.
Oh, yeah.
So big shout to Dave. We're gonna move on to our East Coast friend, Mr. Jack from DSNY. But I do want to give a big shout to Dave from Fresh Baked. You and I, conductor, have both met him. He's a great dude. So I'll be linking all his information down below. Make sure you subscribe. I don't know who, honestly, who watches OG55 or Conductor who doesn't know who Dave from Fresh Baked is. But if by chance you live under a rock and have no idea who Dave is, well, I got you covered in the description down below. All right, so here we go. We got Mr. Jack from DSNY. He's going to give us some predictions with D23, which is actually coming up. I mean, we're less than a year away.
Yep.
We're less than a year away. The last one was kind of a banger, but here we go. This is Jack, DSNY Newscast. Again, his information will also be linked down below. Here we go.
It's announced in 2026 for the 10th anniversary, but I do think it's long overdue. And then we come to August, and it's D23 time, and it's going to be the ultimate Disney fan event taking place from August 14th to August 16th at the Anaheim Convention Center, and also the presentations taking place at the Honda Center, exactly the same format as 2 years ago in 2024. And speaking of this, let's talk predictions, as at D23 in August of 2024, we got a ton of big announcements, really big projects announced around the world that have all started construction and are fully underway. And I think this D23 in 2026, we're going to get a lot of updates to existing projects that are currently underway, fleshing out those details on all of these various projects. And this will be stuff like new models on the show floor, maybe even a model for Villains Land with all the details of what Villains Land will look like at the Magic Kingdom. But I also think we'll get some other smaller but just as exciting announcements at D23. And I think these announcements will be very much playing towards what the fans want to see, such as Journey into Imagination with Figment. I think we'll get that revamp announced at this year's D23 in August of next year. And also, I think that there's a possibility that Haunted Mansion Parlor or Haunted Mansion Restaurant might get announced for Magic Kingdom as well, or maybe even something like the Moana attraction getting announced for one of the parks around the world. And although these are smaller announcements, they will get a huge reaction, and it'll be a way of kind of showing that they get their money's worth from the presentation for the Disney parks at D23 in 2026. And then late in 2026, we don't know when it's going to open, but the magic of Disney animation. Animation Courtyard has been completely revamped, and Star Wars Launch Bay closed in September 2025 to begin its transformation back into what it was before, which is the magic of Disney animation. But this time, it's got an all-new twist, as it's going to be drawing inspiration from the 100th anniversary animated short Once Upon a Studio. Now, inside the magic of Disney animation, there will be interactive experiences such as portraits coming to life, character meet and greets, art lessons, and also an air-conditioned indoor Alice in Wonderland playground. And this will feature an oversized garden, a Mad Tea Party playset, and a Tongji Wood exploration area, all in the style of Mary Blair. And then outside, where Animation Courtyard used to be, they're replacing that whole area with what is going to be themed to the Walt Disney Studios lot in Burbank. And this will be complete with a whole new entrance. And
Yeah, I will say this. I've been to the Burbank studio a few times now, actually. And I just walking on that Disney studio lot where Walt Disney spent probably more time at this lot than he did at Disneyland. And I know this sounds really cheesy, and I hate sounding cheesy, but I mean, you really do feel the magic, his presence on that lot. There is a vibe on that Burbank lot that is unmatched. I mean, I joked around a lot about it when I had my first visit there a few years ago, where I was like, if they sold an annual pass to come on the lot, I would absolutely buy that annual pass. It really is a great experience. So it is kind of cool to see them kind of like trying to recreate that out there in Florida. I think it's a good move. It kind of brings this area back to its roots, like Jack was saying with the animation. Now, before we dive into this particular segment, I want to ask you, Conductor. Jack, when we first started this, said D23 will focus mostly on existing projects, fleshing those projects out, giving us more details on those projects, and then sprinkling in some other little, like smaller announcements. By and large, do you agree with that, with Jack, on how that's going to play out for D23 this year in 2026?
So actually, I do agree that's probably what we're gonna see at D23 2026. It's, to me, it's kind of unfortunate in a way, and the only reason I say that, and I don't say that with any type of downer or anything, but what we see is we got D23 that everyone from all over the United States and even people from out of the country fly in for this in the
Right.
Anaheim for this convention. And one of the things that we also have, on the other hand, we have Destination D23, which takes place in Orlando, minutes from, the Magic Kingdom and all that. And I've said it for years now. And just recently, when I started my YouTube channel, I said, I kind of feel like Destination D23 either needs to not exist anymore, or it needs something else to kind of give it a boost, because people also go to that convention in Orlando, and there's
Yeah.
really not much to see there besides maybe a little sprinkle here and there about the theme parks. And then you got the studio side a lot. You got, what Disney's doing on the studio side. They focus more on that. But one of the things I would like to see is, like Jack from DSNY said, if they're gonna if they're gonna talk about current projects, I rather that type of content go to Destination D23 add another day out of it, and D23 kind of talks about new stuff. And
That's
if
a
they
good point.
and if they have to, then instead of doing it every 2 years, you do it every 3 years. And
Yeah.
then you talk about new things coming to the resorts, the cruise lines. And if you want to sprinkle in some international stuff, by all means, go ahead. But mainly focus D23 on Walt Disney World and the original Magic Kingdom out here in Anaheim. That's how I
Yeah.
feel about it.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Yeah, Destination D was always an interesting kind of thing because it feels very Walt Disney World focused, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you can move those Walt Disney World announcements over to the fan event. D23, like the main D23,
Yeah.
and you could, yeah, like you were saying, and then do something different with Destination D. Yeah, it's interesting. That whole thing, I agree with you. That needs to be reworked. There's a lot of redundancy there with the fan event and then Destination D. They got to figure out what they really want to do because it feels very redundant. They got to make these two very clear, distinctive events. It's not really that right now. It's kind of messy, right?
It is messy. Now, on this other part of them, turning Animation Courtyard back into what we're seeing concept art on the screen, it's interesting that they had this once before, then they got rid of it, put Star Wars Launch Bay in, and now they're going back to it. It's almost like, and again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing for Disney to do this, but it almost seems for us theme park nerds, especially myself, diving into this, it's almost like they can't figure out what to do with this area. So why not tie their roots back into what OG was saying about Burbank and the studios out there? And it's going to be my first time going. I'm going on the 14th for a private event, so it's going to be my first time on the lot, and I cannot wait to see it in person. But when Jack is talking about this, it almost seems like they can't decide what to do with it. So why not put something that we had before and just update the details on it? Is basically what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with you. So your first time at Disney Studios would be the 14th of this month?
Yes.
Conductor, you're gonna love it, man. I definitely text me when you experience it and let me know what you think. I mean, as a Disney fan, it's honestly surreal, bro. It's surreal, dude. Walt spent so much time on that Burbank lot. I mean, honestly, like that's where the whole thing started, was out Burbank lot. Well, I mean, it technically started kind of like on the Hyperion lot, which is now a Gelson's Market, but that's a different story. Actually, it's kind of funny. I actually visited by accident. Me and my date were actually getting ice cream
Oh, geez.
in that area, right? And I looked over, we're eating our ice cream. I looked over and I'm like, that Gelson's looks familiar. I'm like, it's on Hyperion. I'm like, this is where the old Walt Disney Studios used to be before the Burbank thing, right? Crazy stuff.
And I actually heard if you go into that ice cream shop, they actually left remnants of the old studio there as kind of like a homage. I could be wrong though, but I'm pretty sure I heard that from somewhere.
It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, so
it wouldn't shock me. I was tempted to go through the Gelsons and just kind of stand on the same spot that Disney was once, but that was where the old studio used to sit before Walt got all that money from Snow White and built the Burbank lot. But you will love it, Conductor. I mean, I would love to have you back on OG55 and actually talk about your experience going through that studio. I think you're absolutely going to fall in love with it. But let's continue with Jack and see what else he has to say.
Inspired by the Burbank studio lot, and it's also going to have a Sorcerer Mickey hat returning to Hollywood Studios, but topping the entrance of the Magic of Disney Animation building. And also within 2026, Bluey is going to be coming to the Disney parks as a meet and greet character, as Bluey will be at the Fantasyland Theatre in Disneyland from March 22nd, and Bluey will also be found at the Conservation Station at Animal Kingdom in summer of 2026. Then to wrap everything up for this video, we got two movies for the end of 2026. One being Walt Disney Animation's newest movie, which will be an original called Hexed. And this will be released on November 25th, 2026. And the synopsis for this is an awkward teenage boy and his type A mom discover that what makes him unusual might just be magical powers that will turn their lives and a secret world of magic upside down.
You know, here's the thing, and I am admittedly a Disney animation purist, okay? I love like I love what they did in the Renaissance era where they took what Walt kind of built and they kind of like expanded upon it, right? So, for example, like Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Little Mermaid, these are movies at the time which were very fresh and forward thinking. But at the same time, you can put them next to a film like Alice in Wonderland or Cinderella and they would fit in, right?
Yeah.
I don't like a lot of like this hip and edgy shit. Like I got to be honest with you, and for me, I like what they're doing here. Like the concept art looks really cool. I mean, even like the kind of like the three-eyed Cheshire cat, I kind of dig that. I like the Mary Blair style artwork. I like the fact the movie is very centered around like magic, which is very Disney. My issue though is the type A mom. Like that kind of signals to like an Onward kind of film or like a Shrek where you're kind of dealing with like very modern themes. I just want Disney to go back to what Disney does. Just do the musical with the magic and just do the Disney thing. I don't know why they're into this whole thing where we have to make it like super modern. For me personally, I'm not really into that. I think some of the best movies Disney has done is when they leaned into that timeless storybook Disney thing. For some reason, they don't really like to do that anymore, and I don't know why. All like most of your live action successes, Disney, have been because you based them off of those timeless storybook, movies like Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid and Aladdin. I don't know why they have to keep going back to this modern, edgy stuff. Hopefully, Hex is not that. That's my big concern is that it's going to be riddled with modern stuff, and just do Disney, right? I don't know. Go ahead, conductor. What do you think?
No, 100%. And we've seen it time and time again, with some of the movies that they've based, just these classic, movies. Snow White was one that just flopped. You had some of the modern ones based off, comic books. Obviously, you had Fantastic Four didn't do what it was supposed to do. You had Tron Ares didn't do what it was supposed to do. This live action Moana, I'm really hoping does really well. Zootopia has done very well, so I'm very happy about that. But it's kind of Disney's in kind of like in between the road with their movies right now. The reason I say that is because like the movies I just said, they could have done better and they didn't. Don't get me wrong, their numbers are decent, but they're not great. And every time they put something out there, fans are like, really? You guys spend money on this? What am I looking at here? It's just, the problem is nowadays there's not too many movies people want to go to an actual movie theater to see. So when you are a company like Walt Disney Studios, and other companies, and you produce a movie with some big A-list actors, or maybe some A-list actors, B-list actors, so on, so on, so on. It has to draw people at this point in time. It has to draw people to the point where they want to go spend the money to go see in the theater and not say, you know what, I'm going to just put it on the back burner. And when I feel like it, I'll just go on my streaming app, pay $15 on my streaming app and sit in my bedroom, lay on my bed and watch the movie instead of spending the money and time and effort and maybe taking a date and going to the movie theaters and going to see the movie. So I think it's crucial that going forward from this point forward and even before that, these studios have to make movies at this point that draw people that want to go to the movie theaters and not just say, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to stream it from home and save on cost.
No, well said. Well said. I did a live show last night with Jared from Capture the Magic and Tones, our lovely Tones Poppy. We love Tones. But we talked about this, right? Because we were talking about the WB Netflix stuff, and it's so easy for people nowadays to say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to spend $100 to go see a movie in theaters. I'm not going to roll those dice. I'm going to go ahead and just wait for Disney Plus. I'm going to go ahead and wait for HBO Max. I'm going to go ahead and wait for whatever it is. You really have to sell the public on this, especially family movies, because family movies, you have the mom, the dad, you got 2, 3 kids. I mean, that's expensive at the theater, you know? This worries me a little bit. Hopefully, in my opinion, I hope they go the more traditional route when it comes to Disney with this particular movie, because I think this kind of subject matter when it comes to like the witches and the magic and all this stuff, I feel like this works into like classic Disney. Do go like the more like the Frozen or Tangled route as opposed to like an Onward route for this particular subject material. You know what I'm saying? But we'll see. I will say this. I will give them credit for the Mary Blair style like concept art. I love this. I think this shows a lot of potential. I'm not even really mad at them for like kind of copying like Cheshire Cat. That's fine. I mean, even old school Disney used to do that with like a lot of their characters. Like Little John is basically Baloo. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm pretty forgiving on that. It's cool. They've been doing this for like a little while. I think even Wendy and Alice are basically the character with different hair. So the Chester Cat thing doesn't really bother me, but just do a classic Disney film. I don't want to see this like Shrek fairy tale shit.
No.
Like, please, but we'll see.
And we've got this piece of concept art released for what this movie will sort of look like. I'm glad that they're doing another original Disney animation movie, and I like the fact that we get like a sequel like Zootopia 2, then we get an original, then a sequel with Frozen 3.
Yes.
And it's that kind of one on, one off kind of original to sequel ratio here. But also, Walt Disney Animation Studios president Jared Bush has recently said that Disney intends to return to feature-length 2D animation. And so who knows, potentially based on what we can see in the artwork, I could see this very much working with 2D animation if they wanted to use that for this movie. But that's just speculation on my part. At least in the coming years, we're going to see a return to some 2D feature-length animation.
And that's money on the table, dude. I mean, the fans have been all but begging Disney, can we get back into 2D animation? I don't know why. Just because you have a new medium, which is CGI, doesn't mean you have to completely abandon the old medium.
No.
You can have both. That's the thing. That's the beauty of it. You can have both. And we've seen it in Japan. A lot of the Japanese anime is not CGI. They utilize some CGI elements, yes, but a lot of animation in Japan is hand drawn still. And anime is very relevant, very culturally relevant right now. It's doing very well. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of, even going back to Disney, a lot of the live action stuff that they've done, live action Beauty and the Beast and what have you, is based on hand drawn animated films, so there's clearly an audience for that still. I think people still have a love for that style of art. So I'm glad to see Jared Bush bringing that back. So that's interesting. I'm actually kind of like, I'm actually really happy that they are doing that, because I feel I was getting a little worried, to be honest with you, Conductor, that the hand-drawn art form would kind of die out completely, because not a lot of studios are really doing it. And how many artists are trained in that at this point, right? So for Disney to go back in and do that, I think is really, that's actually really significant, because you keeping that alive. Go ahead. I do apologize.
Oh, no, by all means. No, and that's one thing Disney can really honestly take advantage of. If they continue their tradition of hand-drawn illustration for these movies, like Jack was talking about, for the next 10 years and even beyond that, that's going to just make them stand out compared to all the other studios that are out there producing movies, whether it's animated or not. That's just going to be what Disney is known for, and that would be wonderful if they continue that tradition, and I think they should, because quite frankly, that's what the company was built on. It's the same thing that we're talking about right now with the whole CEO situation with the Walt Disney Company. Once Iger's out, are we going to have just one CEO, or are we going to go back to the dual CEO that we had when the company first started with Walt and Roy? What if we had Josh Tomorrow and Dana Walden? Dana Walden can focus more on the media aspect and the financials and all that stuff. And Josh can be more of the, okay, we're going to focus on the parks. We're going to focus on,
Gaming and all that.
yeah, the gaming, the experience, the cruise lines, all the other stuff. I think a dual CEO would be absolutely amazing. It wouldn't get rid of the board, and it would be more beneficial to the company because now you have two CEOs focusing on two major areas of the company. You kind of split the company in half, and in all reality, the company doesn't suffer. The media side gets help that it needs because Dana Walden's been pretty decent on the media side, and the studio side, and Josh has not been that bad on the park side, because quite frankly, I can't 100% blame him for some of the park things that have happened over the last 10 years. Because again, where's it all come from? The CEO. Who's been the CEO? Josh Tomorrow. And then before that, you had Bob, or not Josh Tomorrow,
Bob Iger.
Then you had Bob Chapek. Then you had Bob Iger before that. So I think if a dual CEO position became available once again, I think it would just be the absolute best thing for the company.
I completely agree. Especially in light of this Netflix Warner Brothers stuff. This particular area of the company, the studio side, is going through a massive seismic shift between streaming and if Netflix gets a hold of Warner Brothers, that's going to be massive. That's going to change, the streaming side of everything, and theatrical. So you have all that change with streaming and theatrical. You also have all this change with AI and all this stuff. Josh is a very savvy businessman. He really is. I got to give him credit. I mean, I've been critical of him, but he has really maneuvered his way through the CEO race pretty masterfully. And he's done I would agree with you. He's done a decent job with experiences. He really wants to get into gaming and focus on that, which I think is a smart move too, being that they have a huge stake now in Epic Games. So Josh is not a dummy. He can handle his shit, for sure. But I think with the studio side, though, I do want more of a seasoned kind of vet in there to kind of guide the ship with him. So to do that, you would have him and like maybe Dana Walden or some other studio person in that co-CEO role. I completely agree with you. So we'll kind of see how this whole thing shakes out. But hand-drawn animation coming back to Disney, I'm all for it. That is money on the table, Disney. That is basically the studio equivalent of them saying we're bringing back bringing back hand-drawn animation is basically like telling Parks fans that we're bringing back the people over. It's
exactly.
You can't win. I mean, you can't lose, bro. It's like, come on,
No, 100%.
Yeah. Now, before we get out of here, I do want to share the lovely, the one, the only, a friend of the channel, Miss Mimi Fan. She does a lot of great content in terms of like food stuff, fun spots to hang out in the LA and OC area. This spot in particular, though, is only 10 minutes from Disneyland, which is very relevant to our audience. So make sure you check it out. She also says here they're open from 11 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. It's a late nighter. And Disney cast members get 10% off over an order $60 or more. So make sure you check her out. Looks like really great food. This place is called Sona Fusion Kitchen. It looks really, really good. It's next to Disneyland. So make sure you check it out and make sure you support the lovely, the one, the only Miss Mimi Fan. She's on Instagram. She's also on YouTube. I'll be linking all of that down below. Actually, the porridge that she is having right now, I used to have that all the time with my ex-girlfriend because my ex-girlfriend was Vietnamese, or she still is. She's still Vietnamese, but we're not together. But she's still Vietnamese. But she's Vietnamese, and that porridge actually is really, really good if you have a cold or you feel under the weather, it is a healing food for sure. But I want to thank Mimi Fan for all that she does. She's absolutely amazing. Mr. Conductor, where can everybody find you on social media, my friend? Always a good time having you on, brother.
Absolutely. You can find me on YouTube and Blue Sky at Theme Park Conductor. You can find me on Instagram at theme_park_conductor. You can find me on X at Theme Conductor. You can also find me on TikTok at Theme Park Conductor 1. And you can find me every Sunday at 5 or 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for Conductor Sunday live stream, where we talk everything from Disney to Universal news, and we speculate about the news and the theme parks, and we also talk about rumors and how these rumored projects can fit into the theme parks and just the whole genre. And we have amazing guests like the one and only Orange Go 55 with that wild, wicked patent hair that I love so much, and so many other amazing guests as we break this stuff down and the chat interacts with us. It's a great time. Come join us.
100%. You can also find Conductor in the club. Now, yeah, in the club. You can find him in the club. Now, that's actually a little shout out to Conductor, because we love Conductor, and also 50 Cent, because 50 Cent is an absolute gem of a human being. We love 50 Cent. So shout out to 50 Cent. But everybody, I want to thank y'all so much for watching this episode of OG55. Speaking of Mimi Fan, we're going to go ahead and close it out with Miss Mimi Fan right now.
Thank you so much for watching OG55. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe, and become a member today.